No, I don't. Okay, it's okay. I'll just move around. No problem. No problem. So, through the Kavanah of the blessing recited when eating fruit, a person who eats rectifies the sparks of his own soul. That might not sound or look very Kabbalistic, but I promise by the end of this lecture, it will. So I started out with Kabbalah many years ago as a Wiccan, and of course I started with the occult Kabbalah, with Dion Fortune, and these are probably the names that you know well. Dion Fortune, Gareth Knight, that's my hero, William Gray, also, of course, Aleister Crowley. Then I moved to Franz Bardon, and even deeper, Eliphas Levi and Pappus and people like that. And by the time I got to Agrippa, I thought I was doing the Kabbalah, the real thing, right? So with half of my mind, I thought that, but the other half of my mind was thinking about a question that seemed very simple and very basic. So, so basic that I feared to ask anybody, and that question was, this Kabbalah, shouldn't it be a little more kind of Jewish? So finally I dared to ask my spiritual leaders, and they told me, well, of course, Jewish Kabbalah, that's something altogether different. What we do, that's Renaissance Christian Kabbalah, and just stick with it. That's what we do. So I said, thank you, and obviously, I'm like the majority of you, I just started to discover a completely new world. I started learning Biblical Hebrew. I took up Zohar courses, and just before this lecture, I just thought it might be useful to kind of see it, to kind of see where the Kabbalah, as we study it today, where it stands. So you can see the occult stream there, going back to Eliphas Levi, then to those Renaissance Christian Kabbalists who got inspiration. You know, Renaissance time was a period of inspiration, of excitement by new ideas. So these Christian thinkers, they learned Hebrew, they were fascinated by Jewish mysticism, they even learned Hebrew, but used the Kabbalah as they learned it for their own agenda. They wanted to prove the divinity of Jesus and things like that. And that Kabbalah of the Renaissance was then taken up by the occultists, who again used it for, I wanted to say they, but our purposes. They created the Kabbalah, combined it with Oriental ideas of chakras and things like that, to create a Kabbalah that fits us, the Western esotericists, magicians. But at the same time, there was this stream that for a long time I was quite unaware of. And as I was digging deeper and deeper, I got to even to the Hebrew Bible. That was surprising that finally, I had to secure a space on my working desk for the Bible among the Dion Fortune and Aleister Crowley. That suddenly was the Bible. And then, of course, I had to get the Zohar. So when you read about the origin of the Kabbalah, the books usually speak about the 13th century Spain, and those are the most important names are Abraham, Abulafia, and Moses de Leon, probably the author of the Zohar. Then we have got the Renaissance time, Isaac Luria, who developed very specific kind of so-called Lurianic Kabbalah. I'll speak about a little bit today. Moshe Cordovero, another of the names. And then we have got contemporary times. Gershom Scholem is the one who founded academic discipline of Kabbalah. He was the one who is responsible for the fact that today Kabbalah is studied as a discipline at the university. and he's brilliant. And then these are the people who go in his footsteps, like Moshe Idel, again, one of my heroes, Aryeh Kaplan, or Daniel Matt, an American scholar who translated Zohar, the book of Zohar. This is one of 12 volumes, right? I've got 3. I got a volume for every Christmas. I get one volume from my partner. So, and he gives classes, so I'm part of his classes where I'm learning with him. So that's just for your orientation, that we are somewhere there and we can go out there or there. It is not advisable, or people just, they say it's not a good idea. I disagree. We should choose one or the other, but I believe if you have got a good will, it can be combined pretty well. So, I spoke about the influences, about Renaissance times. Of course, even the Jewish Kabbalists were not keeping their Kabbalah pure and simple. They were influenced usually in the academic literature. You'll read about the idea of Neoplatonism as the main influence, but the Jewish Kabbalists were influenced by other things like Sufi mysticism. And these are, there's something else written down, doesn't matter. So these are the main kind of ideas of Neoplatonism that influenced Jewish Kabbalists, hierarchy of the realities, the principle of emanation and return to the one. And these were elaborated by the Jewish Kabbalist hierarchy of realities. Many of you know about the tree of life and the different sephirot, different levels, different worlds. Emanation, there is the highest one, and the energy emanates into the lower worlds. And the principle of the highest energy that's up there. And the souls want to go up and return and unite with the one. And then I wanted to kind of disentangle the Kabbalah as presented and find the pieces that are essentially Jewish. And I found these: Hebrew language and the alphabet. I'm not saying that you can't do Kabbalah without it, but for me personally, now Kabbalah means doing Judaism as well. The divine names, combination of the letters, that's typical for the Jews. There's a special Jewish cosmology, the tree of the Sephirot, Merkava mysticism, Jewish biblical interpretation like Gematria and Tikkun. Tikkun, that's something I would like to talk a little bit more about because it's connected with the first quote with which I would like to end as well. Tikkun means correction, restoration, or rectification. And it refers to the process of restoring the world to harmony, which it has lost. There's a story that I'll tell you now. The story was elaborated by Isaac Luria, whose name you saw there. And it's a very special cosmological story. In long time ago, or time immemorial, God wanted to create something, but everything was just God, the infinity. So a space was needed where the creation could take place. So God had to draw himself back or contract himself to create the space. That is called Tzimtzum. And in that space, he created the first man, Adam Kadmon, whose soul contained all the other souls that existed. And he also created the vessels, kind of 10 vessels, and the eternal life from Adam Kadmon was supposed to flow into these vessels. However, there was too much light, and the vessels broke and were disintegrated into the universe. And that's where according to this special cosmology, we are now. All the vessels are broken, they are disintegrated, some of them fell very low, and in these vessels the souls are trapped, and these vessels, the Kelipot, are the source of evil. Now the role or the task of humankind and of all of us, or especially the Jewish people, because it's their story, is to restore these souls, take them back and unite them again with Adam Kadmon and with divinity. So that's Tikkun. I just checked, but I wanted to say something else. Yeah, how is that done? How to restore the world? The Jewish way is performing the mitzvot. I don't know how familiar you are with that. Those are the religious commandments that the Jews have to obey. And these help to restore the world. And this has a theoretic effect of repairing the cosmos and strengthening the Godhead, and also bring the Shekinah, the divine presence, who is connected with Malkut, with the lowest world, to unite her with God again. Today Tikkun is, in contemporary Judaism, it's understood more or less as social balance, helping each other, and things like that. But in Lurianic theory, it actually means the end of history. When everything goes back to God, everything is spiritual with God, then there is no world. But so that's Tikkun, restoration, rectification of the world. What else is distinct? And that's Tikkun Olam. This is a picture created by my colleague from Femoccult. That's Shekinah in the lowest world, in Malkut, that needs to be restored to the high position in union with the God. And that's a picture of the Bible, because Bible is where the terminology of Kabbalah comes from, and that's where we will turn now. The terminology Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, the names of the souls, are extensively used in the Zohar, but these words were used in the Bible. They come from there, or the Kabbalistic terminology comes from there. And now we are going to talk about the three souls. The terms were used interchangeably when only one soul was spoken about, but only later, when it was spoken about different souls, the terms were used. The meanings were, we can see the influence of the Platonic teaching of the tripartite soul. So it's not a new concept, but the Kabbalists further developed and elaborated this system of the tripartite soul into a unique system of Jewish Kabbalah, with one type of the soul representing the highest ideal, the divine spark, that's Neshama, the one at the top. And that soul is attainable only by the most advanced humans, while the lowest common to all living beings, including animals, is Nefesh, and that's a soul that does not leave the body even after death. So, Nefesh. A Nefesh is that which makes a human being alive, but beware, also a dead human being. It's a very strange concept. It's not independent from the body at all, and it's not independent from the body alive or dead. Let me illustrate that with the help of the Bible. So first we shall study the examples where the expression is used as synonymous with life and a living person. the first time we encountered the word nephesh is in Genesis. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has life. The expression there is nefesh chaya, and it means a living creature or being, whereby chaya means living, and nefesh is the being that has become alive. And some translations use the word soul, and whence comes the well-known collocation, every living soul. So when you hear every living soul, that's nefesh, that's the lowest soul. Let's now say a more obscure example of the use of this noun. In Leviticus, that's the second one, we can come across an expression, met nafshot, that is translated as a dead body, but meaning literally dead soul. Neither shall he go it's not that. So we can just go to the second one. Only be sure that thou eat not the blood, for the blood is the life, and thou mayest not eat life with the flesh. This is connected with the rules during the Second Temple period. According to the law administered at that time, the expression dead body extended to any of its parts, but special attention was paid to the blood. So blood is what constitutes the soul of life. It is the carrier of vital spark. There were strict rules connected with handling a dead human body as well, the bodies of animals hunted and killed to be eaten. After the kill, the animal's body had to be rid of blood, which was to be covered with earth. As principle of vitality, blood cannot be eaten. So the blood is the life. And I've got the following quote comes from the book of Job, which is quite a depressing read, I have to say, especially this part. Job acknowledges the finality of death, and that contains the expression of all the misery of human whose life is short and full of trouble. He comes forth like a flower and is cut down. He fleeth also as a shadow and continues not. And we skip a few lines, and this passage ends with the words, but his flesh upon him shall have pain, and his soul within him shall mourn. So you can see that's a suggestion of a postmortal conscious existence of both body and soul, and it's also a very pessimistic vision of life and death, I'd say. This is about the soul, about the Jewish underworld, but we must move on. Ruach, look at that beautifully sounding noun. Ruach also means wind and also breath, and it appears at the beginning of the Hebrew Bible. You can see Genesis 1:1. Everybody who has ever learned to read Bible in Hebrew knows that the initial word Bereshit bara Elohim, in the beginning created God, but we are interested in those lines. Yeah, I can't read that. Veruach Elohim, the Spirit of God hovered over the face of waters. So the breath wind of God can also serve as the sign or symbol of life, as you can see in the second one. And behold, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. And elsewhere, the meaning is the common meaning of spirit, denoting a person of a brilliant mind and great wisdom, like he's a man in whom is the spirit of holy gods. And of course, God is the ultimate master of the elements, and the Lord turned the wind into a very strong west wind, etc. So we have covered nefesh and ruach. Now we shall go to the, I'm just checking the time, yeah. So that's the highest of the souls. which can also mean spirit and breath. So, done that, Zohar. Zohar is a very special book. Originally, I thought it's a theological treatise, but it's actually a novel that is also poetry. So, whoever wants a systematic knowledge, logical, it's not there. But it's a very blissful reading. So, and with that, we might actually end. I'll just give you a few comments on that. But let us read together to just have a glimpse of what this book is about. Yeah. To study and contemplate Torah, expanding her every day, not letting her be forgotten, as is written. Let the water swarm, Torah. One should engage in her every day, enhancing one's soul and spirit. For when a person studies Torah, he is adorned with another holy soul. That's nefesh. As is written, with a swarm of soul of that holy Chaya living being. For when a person does not study Torah, he has no holy soul. Supernal holiness does not rest upon him. When he is engaged with Torah, through his murmuring, he attains that living soul, becoming like the holy angels, as is written. Bless Yod Hebavhe, O his angels. Those engaged in Torah called his angels on earth. This is what is written, and let birds fly above the earth. I'll end there. To study and contemplate Torah is one of the most important mitzvot for the Jews. And that's something that we can take away from this. It's reading not for information, but reading for illumination, reading for meditation, is something that is sometimes forgotten. We usually read just to have an insight or to get an information. So, yeah. That's how we can use. How we can use the wisdom that the Jews give us, especially when we are not interested in learning the Hebrew. And as last thing, let us return to the initial quote: "For through the kavanah of the blessing recited when eating fruit, a person who eats rectifies the sparks of his own soul." Now, maybe you like the idea of the tikkun, of the rectification of the world. And we know that that can only be done by the work on our own soul. That can be done in many ways, meditation and the things that you can think of, or the Jewish way, the mitzvot, but it can also be done in a very simple manner by blessing our food and eating it mindfully. So there's of course a lot more, but if you want to discuss that, those things, maybe those that I missed, I'd be happy to talk to you at the stall of Femoccult. We have got also a Kabbalistic oracle. And if you are interested, if there is somebody who is like on the same line as myself, I'm looking for someone who would like to do Havruta with me. Havruta is a pair study. So I would like to have a partner to study with. So that's all. Thank you very much.